In this video, I'm going to cover the parable of the Good Samaritan. And I hate to say it, but a lot of people don't want to cover this. And the reason why, well, will become clear as I continue this video. I'm going to cover it here, and hopefully you'll enjoy my little presentation. This can be found in Luke chapter 10. Now, the story goes something like this. Jesus is talking to a whole bunch of people, and the Jewish Sanhedrin just happens to be standing there listening to this. And, well, he starts the story with an ordinary man. Now, this man could have been a carpenter, he could have been a fisherman, whatever. We're talking somebody that was working in a common trade. Now, this man that we're talking about here, he has just left the city of Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem was the capital of Israel, and one day will once again be the capital of Israel. Okay? And this man is walking. Okay, he's not driving a Ferrari going 70 miles an hour to his destination. He is actually walking on, well, kind of a dirt road. Alright, we're not talking about a paved highway with big old metal signs. Now, granted, this road probably did have signs, but it didn't have metal signs. Probably the signs were made of wood. And this is a kind of a dirt path. It's kind of a grooved, well-paved path, but it's still a dirt path, okay? And he's headed for the city of Jericho. Now, I'm sure that you've heard of the city of Jericho if you've ever read the Old Testament. And the city of Jericho, what we're talking about here, is the same city of Jericho in which a bunch of Israelites eons and eons and eons ago took a bunch of horns, they blew them under God's command, and as soon as they did, the walls of Jericho fell down. And if you don't know the whole story, you can go check it out in the Old Testament. Alright, this guy is walking along, and all of a sudden he is attacked by a bunch of robbers. Now, these robbers either hid behind rocks or trees. I'm not sure. I don't know what the exact landscape that he was walking down was like, but it was something to that effect. And when he was attacked, these robbers took a whole bunch of his money, they beat him up, and they literally left him for dead. They thought he was going to die right there on that road. Well, when the robbers took off, this priest starts walking by and sees this very injured, near-dead man. And he says, I tell you what, I'm going to pray for you. And then he walks on. Yeah, that left a good impression. And then a Levite starts walking by. Now, Levites were a big thing in the Israel kingdom. If you don't believe me, check out the Bible. You can see just how prominent these Israeli Levites really were. And he goes up and he says, I'll pray for you when I reach the temple, because this Levite was headed for Jerusalem and headed for the temple. And as soon as he said that, he started walking by. Well, yeah, that left a good impression. Well, then a Samaritan showed up. Now, what was a Samaritan? Well, a Samaritan was a guy from the land of Samaria, which at that time was just north of the land of Judea. Okay, now, during the Assyrian occupation of Israel, they took a whole bunch of Israelis and they captured them and made them slaves. But they left the Samaritans behind. And these Samaritans, of course, intermingled with the Babylonians from Babylon, with the Ava, with the Hamath, with the Sephardim people, and the Cuth. Now, none of these people were Jews, okay? The Babylonians, the Ava, so on and so forth. None of these people were Jewish. That's created a little bit of a problem, because when you start intermarrying like that, according to the Old Testament, well, then you were in violation of the Old Testament. Well, when these Jewish people that had been captured by the Assyrians, they came back to their land, and they found these Samaritans who had intermingled with all these people and intermarried. Well, these other Jewish people wouldn't have anything to do with them. So now you got two big sects of Jewish people at odds with each other. Alright, and that's why the Jewish Sanhedrin were starting to get ticked off of Jesus, because Jesus was telling about the Samaritan. Alright, well, according to the story, the Samaritan saw this injured man, put him up on his animal. Now, that animal could have been a donkey, a mule, we don't know. Alright? And then he took this man to a nearby inn, and he gave the man denarii. Now this would have actually been 2 denarius. Now back in that time, a Roman denarius was a day's wages. Okay? So we're now talking about 2 days' wages. Alright, and he gives the innkeeper 2 days' wages and says, take care of this guy until he's able to take care of himself. Alright. Well, that ticked off the Jewish Sanhedrin, because now Jesus is saying that the Samaritan was better than these people that were standing there and professing themselves to be the best of the best, which is the Jewish Sanhedrin. So what's the point of the story? Well, let's say you have a Bible group, and somebody in that Bible group suddenly gets robbed of their coffee pot. Now, granted, that's something to pray about, but praying about the safety of this guy and making sure that doesn't happen to him again is one thing. But if he just needs a simple coffee pot, you're telling me that you guys can't take up a collection and get him another coffee pot? You don't need prayer for that. You need to get him another coffee pot. This is a problem I'm finding with Christians all over this nation anyway. They act like they're bankrupt. Let me tell you something. In the book of Acts, there was a church described that was getting so many tithes and offerings that they actually had to turn them away because they were getting too much. Does that describe your church? If it doesn't, you need to find out why. So, it's not about going broke. It's not about trying to see who can outperform who. It's just merely meeting a need when a need arises. And let me tell you something. If a need arises like that, God will provide a way through your church to provide for that person. You don't need to be tossing thousands of dollars in an offering plate on a regular basis to offer assistance to those in need. Now, putting money in an offering plate is not bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying here is that you can either do more than just put something in an offering plate, or you can help a person out rather than put in an offering plate. The offering plate in itself is not the only way you can help Christianity. That's what I'm saying. Alright, I will talk about more in a future video, so stay tuned.